Hey folks, Gavin here with Hughes Defense and Hughes Defense Holsters. We're in our holster shop back here in the back of our gun shop in Blue Springs, Missouri. Today's video that we're going to be making is about our DIY holsters. If you're watching this video, you're to think about purchasing one on our website, hdfirearm.com, or you've already bought one and you want to know how to form your own holster. It's going to come with your two pieces of Kydex, which are held together, pre-cut, and actually already buffed with eyelets holding it together. It's also going to come with two belt loops, two screws, two rubber washers, and two of your backplate nuts. Some of the things you're going to need when making this is you're going to want to make sure you have your firearm. You're going to want a piece of wood you can cut out jigs for say your ejection port or anything that might cause your firearm to catch on your holster. You might want to have a little bit of painter's tape handy. Of course, you're going to want a Phillips head screwdriver, perhaps a pair of mechanic's gloves or some form of gloves because this Kydex is going to get hot. You're also going to want some kind of a press. I've seen people make them out of two pieces of plywood and some weight room cushions. Or what we have here is we have a panini press that's had special cushions put in it. Your cushion, you want something that's going to be stiff enough to actually push the Kydex into the crevices of the firearm, but not too hard so that it doesn't do its job, and you don't want it too soft where it just presses everything in and it starts to damage the firearm. You're also going to want some kind of a heat gun or an oven. This guy is a Black & Decker oven, rotisserie oven. You can find these on Craigslist for like 10 bucks. I actually bought this one used. I wouldn't use an oven though that you're going to be preparing food in later on. You might want some kind of a thermometer or keep a close eye on your Kydex to make sure that it's not getting too hot and becoming too wavy or starting to burn the Kydex or make the eyelets go loose. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set our oven to around 300 degrees because you want to get this thing to 275 to 290 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Then I'm just going to go ahead and place it in. You don't have to put it in on top of anything. It won't damage as long as you're not using some kind of a old oven that might have paint on it or some kind of grease or something, because then you'll end up with the grease on your Kydex. I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on now to prepare. Then I'm also going to check my firearm. Anytime we're working with firearms, we want to make sure we're safe. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the slide, look down, make sure that there's not a round in the chamber. Close her back up. I've already got a piece of tape set up with a piece of wood I've already cut to go over my ejection port. I'm going to go ahead and place that on while I'm waiting for this to heat up, making sure that there's nothing else that might catch from the firearm whenever I'm trying to pull it out of the holster. I'm then going to prepare my press to make sure that once I get this out, because it's going to be hot and it's going to cool fairly quickly, I want to make sure I'm ready to go on the press. I'm going to check this using my thermometer. See, we're already at 228 degrees. In that little bit of time, it's already gotten up to 228 degrees, and we want to keep it between that 275 and 290. I'm making sure to measure the temperature in the center of the holster as well, because if I'm measuring on the outsides, they could be a little bit hotter. Most of your heat is going, you want to make sure that that heat ends up in the center at that 275. We're at 267. Now we're at 282, so we're in between that area. Now I want to make sure if this is going to go right-handed or left-handed, because this is reversible, it's going to be right-handed, so I want to make sure the grip of the firearm is pointed towards the right side if the holster, the bottom of the holster is facing away from me, which firearm safety, you want to keep the firearm pointed away from me anyway. Then I'm going to press the holster over the firearm after I have slid. I will go ahead and show you guys that. I've slid the holster basically in so that the trigger guard is covered, but my finger wells are still open. I can still get my fingers on the firearm. Now this hasn't cooled entirely, so hopefully I can press it like this. Should be able to. And then I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit. Normally about 2 to 4 minutes will get you there to the point where you're hard enough to the point where you can pull it out and not damage it, but you want to be able to move the sides, especially if you have a skinnier hip. Bigger guys, we don't have the trouble with having to put a flatter piece of Kydex across us, but some of you skinnier guys, you might want to make more of a U shape with it so it's not uncomfortable for you or pulling your belt away from your pant. Since I had this out and was playing with it, it cooled down a lot quicker, so I can go ahead and check it. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. You can take and push these sides in, making it more contoured to your hip. You can see where it's actually gone around the firearm, gone through the trigger guard. I don't have any openings where the trigger guard is. You don't want lint, things getting down in there that can cause damage to the firearm. And you want to make sure it's not a big deal if the barrel sticks through. Some of your larger firearms will, but you don't want to have it so that it's too short and the bottom of the holster is closed, so any moisture that gets down in there can't get out. Go ahead and remove my gloves. It's already set. It will draw out. Now this one, I could take and heat it up a little bit with my heat gun if need be. It's good to have a heat gun around anyway if you're going to be doing this. If I want to make my retention a little bit harder, I'll go ahead and heat it up, making sure not to hold my heat gun too close to the surface, and then push it into the trigger guard, making sure not to press it against the trigger. And what this does is it allows me to have more retention and hold it in. Then once we have that done, we're going to go ahead and pull our firearm out. Now I've already got this set up with the back plates and washers on it, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do one of them. You're going to take the little hole, place your back plate nut inside of each of the holes in your belt loop, and then place your rubber washer over top, so it's going to end up looking like so. Then once you've done this with both holes, you're going to go ahead and line the holes up and put your screw to your back plate nut. If you want to use Loctite, you can use Loctite, Vibratite, whatever you got available. Now I'm going to use my Phillips head screwdriver to go ahead and tighten them up. And there you have it. Like I said, these belt loops can be reversed to the other side, so this can be placed on the left or on the right. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us on YouTube, on our Facebook. We'll try to answer as many as possible. If you're interested in these, check them out at hdfirearm.com. That's firearms singular. You folks, you have a good day, and remember, your safety is your responsibility. Get the training, make sure you carry.